What's up, my dudes? Got us a little bit of James Stewart action here on the Kawasaki Supercross 3, the official video game. First of all, let me give a little shout out to somebody that donated to me a couple days ago. Christopher MacDonald hitting me with the $10.70, dog. I appreciate the crap out of it. It's been a while since I've got a donation, so that's really cool to see that. By the way, any of you guys that donate to me, if you leave a message, I'll read it off in a video. This guy in particular didn't leave a message, so there's nothing for me to read off here. But yeah, so I had a few of you guys go in here and tell me, yo, Spencer, you know they got James Stewart in Supercross 3? Yo, Spencer, why don't you make a video on the Legends DLC pack? Yo, Spencer, when are you going to make a video on, the James Stewart in Supercross 3? Well, probably, when they actually release the DLC. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's when I'll make a video on it. Boys, listen. There's quite a few YouTubers out there that are going in there making videos on, this Legends DLC 2-strokes in Supercross 3, James Stewart in Supercross 3. But the only way they're able to do that is by going in there and basically causing a glitch through an exploit. So they're getting the DLC in a way without actually buying it, and they're getting it early, and they're making videos on it before it's even out yet. I'm just not going to do that. Now, there are a select few, and when I mean select few, I mean like literally one or two dudes out there that probably did actually get the DLC early, like, Wyndham and some of the tippity top of the slope of the, milestone, whatever you want to call them, milestone, promotional YouTubers or whatever. But most of these dudes out here making videos on this, like James Stewart and Supercross 3 and all that, they're doing it with like an exploit of the game. And I just don't want, I don't want my channel to get a strike on it for doing that, because you start getting in some sketchy territory when you do stuff like that. So I just wanted to come in here because we're really close to the DLC coming out. It comes out in like a day or two, I think, like 3 or 4 days. Anyways, so specifically with James Stewart on the Kawasaki, right? And what you're seeing right here in this gameplay is something I've made in the game without the DLC at all. I know it looks a little crazy, seems a little insane, but I made this whole entire rider and bike without even the Legends DLC whatsoever. So my sort of thing is, and I'm not trying to dog on this Legends DLC. I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome how they're going to, actually have 2-strokes in there. Got some of the really old school dudes in there. They're going to have apparently a whole new track that's like an old school style track with old school, actual hay bales instead of tough blocks, right? It's got the old school style stadium. I've seen a couple of videos on that, but I was really thinking that the James Stewart that they're going to be adding with the Legends DLC would have at least been on a 2-stroke. You know what I mean? I really was thinking it would have been like the James Stewart in the 125 Kawasaki days, right? But from what I've seen so far, and some of these dudes that's like went in there and done the little glitch or whatever, the little, little exploit, whatnot, where they actually did get the James Stewart, the official James Stewart in the game, it's looking just like a standard Kawasaki 4-stroke, right? It's sounding just like a 4-stroke. It's not like Stewart on a 125, right? Which you would assume, if they're doing like an old Legends DLC where they've got like some of these dudes on really old school, Honda 2-strokes and stuff like that, I would have imagined they would have done like a Stewart in the era of the KX 125, right? He's like, one of the most legendary 125 Supercross riders ever. So you just would have thought they would have done that. But that doesn't really seem to be the case. So I just find it to be kind of funny how you can literally go in here and make your own James Stewart from the ground up. You don't have to do 259 as the number. There's also another little glitch in the game where you can get any number you want to in the game, like 7, even though Plessinger has it. So if you wanted to go that deep into it, you could. You could literally go in there and make a Stewart, number 7, on a Kawasaki. I'm talking from like top to bottom. It may not be exact like facial recognition, exact facial, kind of how they do it with all the other official riders in the game. It may not be exact James Stewart in the face, but you can get it pretty accurate, dog. I mean, you can go in there and put a Red Bull helmet on the dude if that's what you want. You know, they're kind of going for like a, I guess like an '07 James Stewart's what it looks like in the Legends DLC. '07, when did he go to the Yamaha? Was that '08? I don't know. That was a long time ago, dude. Either way, you know what I'm talking about when Stewart was on the Monster Energy Kawasaki 450, right? That's kind of seeming to be the era that they're pulling this Legends James Stewart from, right? So, but my point is, it's like, dog, you can literally just go in there and make your own James Stewart with a number 7 on a Kawasaki. Hell, you could even put it on a Monster Energy Kawasaki if you wanted to, with the official skins in the game, right? And I'm sure there's a mod where you can have like a Monster Energy Kawasaki, but then go in there and have your own, whatever. What gear was he running back then? I know it's kind of, I don't even know if he was running a Red Bull helmet back then. He might have been running a Monster helmet. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, I just threw together a little, you know, a little 7-gear Red Bull helmet. It's kind of like more of a modern rider customized James Stewart, but then on an old school, well, not an old school Kawasaki, but, you know, on a Kawasaki, which would have been an old school James Stewart. So there's just, I don't know. I mean, I get like buying one of these Legends packs for like some really old rider on a 2-stroke or whatever, but it's like, it gets to a point where if you're getting a rider that, or you're getting something that you can already make in the game from the ground up, it kind of gets into that realm of like, what's the point? You know, that's what I mean. I think it would have been better for them to have added a James Stewart on a 125 Kawasaki versus a James Stewart on like a, you know, a 450 Kawasaki. You can just go in there and make that in the game already without DLC. Literally. I mean, literally. You can do it from the ground up. You can even go in there and put it, whatever kind of gear on Stewart that he was running back in '07. I know he didn't have the 7 gear at that point, but you could put whatever kind of, you know, probably not exact gear, right? But something close. You could probably get it something close, right? That's the thing, you know. It's like you're paying for this Legends DLC just for an official James Stewart. It's not like you can't have something that's really, really, really close to a James Stewart without the DLC, because you can. You can already go in there and make that, and I just kind of proved that with throwing together this little quick James Stewart on a Kawasaki right here. You know, I mean, you can even argue you can do just about more different variations of James Stewart now than you ever could, because you can do Kawasaki James Stewart, you can do Yamaha James Stewart, you can do 259 old school James Stewart, you can do newer Suzuki James Stewart, you can do James Stewart on a Honda, you can do James Stewart with 7 gear, James Stewart with Red Bull helmets, James Stewart, like any kind of James Stewart you want to think of other than 2-stroke James Stewart. So you see what I'm saying? I think that would have made more sense in a exclusiveness with the Legends DLC pack to have had the 125 Kawasaki Stewart version versus the, you know, 450 Kawasaki that you can already get in the game. I don't know. I just think it's, you know, the DLC, the Legends DLC, having some of those other old school Legends that they were only on 2-strokes, so they had to put the 2-strokes versions of those dudes in the game. I think that's really more exclusive. That really makes the Legends DLC more worth it, you know? I mean, how much does having a actual official from Milestone James Stewart versus just making your own James Stewart in the game, how much is that really worth it to you? I mean, it's really just you're not even really seeing the dude's face when you're riding in the game, and you can go in there and make your own custom James Stewart, Stewart on the back, Stewart's numbers on a Kawasaki, Stewart's gear. I mean, you could literally go in there and make it yourself. So it kind of gets into a little bit of that thing where, you know, when they came out with the LA Coliseum DLC, or they come out with any of these Monster Cup DLCs, it's like you can just about make that same exact track in the track editor of the game. So it almost becomes pointless in a sense, you know? They kind of run into that. Sometimes their DLC becomes pointless. Now, with this new, you know, old school 1986 or whatever kind of, you know, that old track they're going to be putting in with this Legends DLC, that really is more exclusive. You know, you can't really make a track like that. It looks like it's going to have some really old school jump designs, obviously old school tough blocks, not even tough blocks, hay bales die, you know what I mean? So that's a little more exclusive and would make more sense buying versus like like a LA Coliseum that you can literally already make in the game with the track editor. It's kind of the same way with the particular James Stewart it seems that they are going to be putting into the game. It's like you could just already make that in the game. I mean, what are you even really paying for? Just the actual 100% exact face of James Stewart on the rider in the game, and the exact Anzer gear or whatever, Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're really paying for, because you can already go in there and make James Stewart. Like, some of the other riders would be a little more difficult simply because, they were on old two-strokes, and as you know, you can't make your own custom two-stroke in Supercross 3, so that would be a little more difficult to make that, and you can't make like a Stewart on a 125 Kawasaki replica in the game. So if that was in a Legends DLC, that would really, I don't know. I mean, it's cool and all. Like I said, I'm not hating on it, but I'm just saying, some of you dudes that are kind of freaking out about, oh my God, Stewart's going to be in, Supercross 3. Dog, it's just Stewart on a Kawasaki 450. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, you know what I mean? I feel like some of the other old school dudes on the two-strokes was a lot bigger of a deal than James Stewart on a 450 Kawasaki being put into the game, and that's really not all that crazy of a thing. I know anytime James Stewart's name's brought up in anything, whether it's DLC or anything in these games, it kind of, the hype around it kind of explodes a little bit, because obviously with the James Stewart compound being one of the most legendary tracks ever and alive, right? And, you could ride as Stewart on Reflex, and Stewart on Reflex actually had a Red Bull. The only way you could get a Red Bull helmet in the console version of Reflex was literally riding with the James Stewart in the game. So, also with the bike skin, that particular bike skin that he ran back then, was the only way you could get it. So either way, I mean, there is so many different ways you can make a James Stewart in Supercross 3, it's not even funny, dog. Like, I could go to some old school pink gear, you know what I'm talking about? Like, really old school Stewart. That would have been cool to have seen that, like, Stewart 125 pink gear era in the Legends DLC. I don't know, it just would have been cool to have rode in a game that doesn't have two-strokes in it, by default, being able to go in there and ride as a James Stewart on a 125, the only 125 in the whole game. There would have just been something kind of legendary about that. I don't know. There would have been something really cool about that. I think that might have been a little bit of a missed opportunity there, putting Stewart on the 450, on the KX 450 instead of the KX 125, right? But I get it, though. I mean, if you put him on a 125, it's kind of like, well, crap. He's on a 125. But, I mean, you could have done it where it was like two different. You could have had a James Stewart Lights version on the two-stroke, 125, and then like a Stewart on the big bike version, 250 two-stroke, KX 250 two-stroke, And then you could have also had Stewart on the 450 KX if you wanted to have, really give some options with this Legends DLC. You could have allowed Stewart on any of the Kawasaki bikes, 125, 250, two-stroke, and then 450 four-stroke KX, right? So that would have been really cool if they had done that. But from what I've seen so far, it just seems like Stewart on a standard KX 450 is going to be the actual official milestone James Stewart in the Legends DLC. So it is what it is. Is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I just think just a little bit of a missed opportunity. It is really cool that they're doing this, though. To begin with, like, really cool. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, just look at what I'm riding on right now, dog. And, yeah, I know I'm on 7 gear. Yeah, you could run some older style gear and an older style helmet and get it almost identical. I'm telling you, you could probably get it almost identical to the look of what this newer Legends DLC James Stewart is going to look like, right? You could probably make a custom rider in the game so close to that it's not even funny. You could find a certain gear set that's really close color-wise. You could go in there and get the number 7 with the little glitch you can do in the game where you can get any number in the game. You could have it almost identical, dog. I'm telling you. Like, I'm telling you. Ain't no telling. But either way, Appreciate you guys watching all the videos. When this new Legend DLC actually comes out, I'll make a little video on it. But until then, I'm just not going to make a video on something that's not out yet. I'm just not going to do that. I got a little more respect for companies than that, you know what I mean? So, either way, dudes, be back on that next video. You know what it is.